This is EasyOSX, and today I'm showing you how to enable Autoupdate in Homebrew. A user on Instagram asked if it was possible to have Brew auto-update rather than having to run it manually via the terminal commands, and there is, as a matter of fact. It's what's known as an official external tap, meaning it's an official component of Brew, but it's not present or enabled in the default installation of Brew. We can confirm this by typing in the command brew auto-update status. The first time this command is run, it'll actually download the Auto-Update tab and install it into your system, then run the status command and show that Auto-Update hasn't been configured yet. To start it is super easy, so I'll show you starting and stopping it, but before you enable it yourself, we'll want to talk about what the default behavior does so you can decide whether you want to change it for your purposes. Starting Auto-Update is easy. Just type in brew auto-update start and hit enter. Now it will start and show a message saying that Homebrew will automatically update every 24 hours. Plus on Catalina and newer, it should trigger the notification that a background startup item has been set. This is the first default behavior you should be aware of, which is that the auto update will run every 24 hours. This command won't trigger the first update, that will run in 24 hours from that start command. Now you'll still be able to manually refresh by running brew update, so you won't be locked to auto update. This actually brings us to the second thing you should know about the default behavior. It will only run the update command, but not the upgrade command. In case you don't remember the difference, I don't blame you. The update command refreshes Brew's lists of casks and formulas in its repositories, so if you go to install or look for something, you're always getting the most accurate list of what is and isn't available. But that's all it does, update its lists. Any apps that you install through Brew aren't getting upgraded to newer versions automatically. And that makes sense because while it's important to stay on top of updates for security reasons, you may only want certain apps to auto-update. Most people are fine with their browsers updating automatically because that can be a big security problem. But you might not want your professional development or production software to update automatically and mess with your work or workflows. Ultimately, the decision is up to you. If you're not running super complex software or not worried with the software that gets installed through Brew, then you may feel fine setting up auto-update to do the upgrades. If you are worried about it, then you should probably leave the default behavior intact. For the sake of demonstration, let's say I wanted to upgrade my Brew installed apps and run Brew's cleanup command on a weekly basis. There are a number of other commands and settings you can set in your auto-update instance, so I'll leave a link to the Brew auto-update documentation in the description. First, let's stop the auto-update instance we set up a moment ago. To do that, we'll enter the command brew auto-update stop. This will stop auto-update without deleting any logs. Now the order for auto-update is the start command, the interval to run in seconds, and then the options. So we'll start by typing brew auto-update start and space. Since I want this to run once a week, I need to know how many seconds there are in a week, which I got ahead of time to make myself look smart. I'll type in the number 604,800, then another space. Now, I'll type in my two options. For the auto cleanup, I'll type in -- cleanup. And for the upgrade allowance, I'll type a space, then -- upgrade. The order on these doesn't matter. I could have typed in the -- upgrade followed by -- cleanup. I just like the alphabetical order. Now, I hit enter. And you'll see that it shows auto update is set to run every 168 hours, which is still every 7 days. But you'll also notice it has this warning about casks and sudo. Most casks, i.e. graphical apps, will auto-upgrade just fine, but you may have noticed that sometimes you have to type in your admin password when upgrading apps via Brew. So with the command as it's currently set, it will upgrade formulas and casks that don't need your admin password without issue. But those that need the password won't be able to. You'll still have to upgrade those manually from the terminal as it stands. We can fix this by adding the sudo command, but that won't work without an additional tool. We'll need to install a formula called pinentry mac. You can install this by typing in brew install pinentry, all one word, -mac, and hit enter. We'll give it a minute to install, and what this does is it will pop up an admin credential box anytime an app being upgraded by Brew requires admin credentials. You'll type in the credentials, and once submitted correctly, Brew will continue with its auto upgrade in the background. Now that pin entry is done, we'll stop our previous auto update schedule, then bring up our previous start command and add the --sudo command to the end of it, which does violate my alphabetical order statement from a moment ago, but this is for demonstration anyway. Now we hit enter again, and now we get no warning and a working auto update and auto upgrade. Again, there are more options and tweaks you can make to this, so look through the documentation in the description to decide what works for you. But thank you all so much for watching. If this video helped you out, then give it a like. It'll really help the channel. Likewise, if you want more Mac, iOS, and other Apple tips, tricks, and advice, you can subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the website EasyOSX.net, as well as our social media pages. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.